start us up.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this is the May 21st, 2015 meeting at 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Those present are Darrell Baker, County Clerk, William Matthews, Commissioner, Charles Vance, Commissioner, Ian Hawes, Commissioner. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. And this is we need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session of Lincoln County Commission meeting that was held on May 7th, 2015 at 6 p.m.
I'll send over.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That being unanimous, motion carries. Next, we have to approve the minutes of the special session of Lincoln County Commission meeting that was held on May 18th, 2015 at 5:30 p.m.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That being unanimous, motion carries. We have anyone who would like to speak for public comment? Rick Dowd?
Yeah.
Come on up.
You don't mind?
Don't mind at all.
Haven't done this for a while.
We missed you, Rick.
Well, thank you. Okay, I'd like to give you an update on Camp Lakeview with summer stuff.
Can we look over there now?
Yes, John and Holly Lucas, you mean where the Flynn's once
Yeah.
lived? Yes. Yeah, they've lived there ever since the Flynn's have not. We've always had caretaker presence.
I have never been over there. I would like you to take me someday.
Hey, come, you can come
Not even
any of
that.
these
Free Wednesdays.
free Wednesdays. You can come to the school group.
That's right.
Okay, so what we've got a rash of stuff going on. In the past, we've done end of the school year activities for elementary school kids. The most we've ever done is 3, okay? This year, we have 8. So it's good that it's getting to be a more popular place. And the model we use for these things is in the morning, the kids come, we divide them into 3 groups. We do a group that's sort of watershed ecology, appreciating the environment. We do a group that's nutrition / physical activities, and we will do a group that, on this thing is listed as shooting sports, which will be either archery or air rifles that we'll do. So the kids rotate through that, and then in the afternoon we do swimming, canoeing, and kayaking.
What are the grades, ages, or?
Most of the elementary schools are going to be 3rd through 5th
Yeah,
grade.
Tuesday, June 2nd is start day.
Ah, yes.
I know that, because I have.
It's my,
So that's the day you're
Calvin Place.
volunteering. So I have to
Watch out.
volunteer up there.
We have extra eyes coming those days, so your children will be safe.
Yeah.
It's good to have extra eyes.
Yes, yeah. So you can see that we've got extra guards coming on the times that we have, more than 20 kids. We always have at least 1 guard, so we'll have an extra guard, plus their extra high school students who are sort of gophers and extra helpers. So that's what we've got that going on. It's just coming right down the pike. Then we got the Free Wednesday program, every Wednesday when school is out, and 21st Century, which is primarily an after-school program. I think it's federal funds. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they flow through the school system. They have a couple summer camps. They've got a rocket camp and Lego robotics camp and science camp. And they're going to bring their kids out as an end of the year
Oh,
celebration.
the Mad Science Center? We'll have another signed up for that one. I don't know.
They'll come out to this too. So we're doing that. The food, we've got, last year we had churches that provided the food for it. Centerpoint's going to do it again this year. Doorway of Hope is going to do it. Methodist Church is going to do it. They haven't figured out exactly which of those other ones they're going to do it. I haven't heard from Lincoln Primary Care yet. They helped last year. We're also going to do shooting sports at that. And we're going to do a couple other things. One thing we've got lined up is this bluebird birdhouse nest. Fox's Lawrence Smith, Dr. Smith is going to come. We'll do that and send that home to the kids. The only issue we're facing right now, except trying to get this all organized, is Tri-River has always done a free bus service in Hamlin, go through Hamlin. I got a letter from them saying they would not be able, they would probably only be able to do half because the allotment that they were given from the commission was cut. So, my thought is that we would go to, we just use Camp Lakeview funds. I've asked them if we could just pay for the other days. Haven't heard back yet.
So they were going to do half the days or?
They would only be able to do half the days, because they never charged us in the past, they always did it for free. So, one way or another, if they are willing to do the buses, we will get the buses.
Do they have a regular route that runs that?
They don't.
Okay.
This is, they do a special pickup for us. You know, they burn them out and then they come back and pick them up again. So that's where we are with that. Let me switch to the green wastewater hat. That's a big hat,
Yeah.
and sometimes you don't want to put it on.
It's my wife's favorite subject in this.
It is, well.
That's why she comes.
Okay, this is the latest reimbursement request that went out to the GEP. We haven't gotten the money back yet, but it'll just show you what we've got remaining. So we've got, all of the systems are now in. Okay. We haven't paid all those bills, but all the systems are in. So we've got a little more to pay on that. We've got $9,000 on that. We've got some money in supplies, some money in testing, some money in administration, and then $15,000 in contingency. The DEP, I can't remember if I have shared this with you or not. The DEP is now willing to let us use some of the contingency money to create a website. Okay? It'd be a Lincoln County Commission website that the DEP would have access to. That would take all this information, all this 10 years worth of stuff that's now in boxes, and it would be put on a website. And Robbie's willing to help organize it, and people could go in and, you know, go to sampling data or go to reports about some of the problems we've had or some of our recommendations for how to solve some of these issues.
So that just be like a tab on their county website?
Yes, it'd be a tab on the county website, and then you go into it, and then there'd be all these other kind of tabs that you could, you know, go into the summons and stuff. So I was real happy when they finally said yes, that we could do it, because it sort of seemed a shame.
Did you get the information on the maintenance group there? I mean, anything on there as far as the maintenance organization?
I thought about that, maybe, you know, generally we might put some stuff, because other counties or other organizations might want it.
Yeah, because you're going to face the same problem when they put the systems in, whatever. They're going to have some type of organization.
Yeah.
Monitor and
these.
take care of it.
Yeah. So that's where we are with that. The commission, I don't know when he made the first $30,000 loan to the project. It's always been a tie-over kind of loan. At the end of June, I'll write a check back to the commission for that $30,000 in order to clear all the, whatever, they're in the books or whatever it is, the end of the year finances. But the problem is going to be that that's the time period, June and July, when the state government shuts down and won't issue any checks. So I would like to come back and borrow the first meeting in July, another $30,000. And then when we are officially done, then I pay that back. And I wasn't sure exactly how to do that. But I just get on the agenda for the end, should I do it for the July 1st meeting to ask for the loan?
July 2nd.
July 2nd meeting,
Yeah.
come to that,
Yep.
get on the agenda for that for a $30,000 loan.
Mary can do that.
Yeah, sure.
Good.
And you anticipate getting the 30 that has to be paid back when?
Before the end of June.
Okay.
In order to
I
clear-
just wanted, I thought that's what you
Yeah,
said. I just
yeah.
want to make sure that's
At
what
the
you're
end of
talking
June,
about.
yes.
Okay.
So the fiscal year. Okay. All right. Now we got stuff. Okay. here's a report, and I will try to summarize. Okay. We have these direct discharge systems. They're not all direct discharge, but most of our systems are direct discharge, which means that the final effluent goes into the creek, the stream, the river, wherever it is. And according to the Federal Clean Water Act, anything that's discharged into the tributaries of the United States of America has to have what's called an NPDES permit. So all of the systems that we have NPDES permits. And the permits are good for 5 years. And every 5 years, you have to reapply to get these permits reissued. Starting with this round of re-permitting that we're in, homeowners have to have their systems tested, their effluents tested. This has never been done before by the DEP. Before, the only thing the DEP looked at was whether the lights worked, whether the pumps worked. They looked at all the mechanical stuff, but they never looked at what came out of the end of the pipe, which has always seemed like it's an important thing, and that's something the project has always recommended to anybody who will listen that we ought to be testing the final effluent. So the DEP is now doing that. So they have all these parameters. You have to test for fecal, you have to test for biological oxygen demand, total suspended solids, and pH. We have, of these 117 systems that we put in, 77 are made by ANUA. They're PureFlow peat systems. In the past, ANUA has been very helpful with us, okay? So I've been doing the sampling for the permit renewals. And as I started doing sampling, all of a sudden, and I was sampling things I hadn't sampled before. Always before we'd sampled for fecal. That was it, because we thought that was the most important. I was finding that for pH, at the point that I sort of started pulling my hair out, 38% of these ANUA systems have pH readings below 6.0. Okay. And that's unacceptable. They have to be between 6 and 9. So we had a variety of different emails and phone calls, and eventually, and this is a nice Irish company that we deal with. I didn't think, fair disclosure, I need to bring that out, Sean.
Sean has no financial interest in it.
He has no financial, that we know of.
Well, peat is acidic, is it not? Peat as a fossil is acidic by
That's
nature,
right.
I think.
So
Anyway.
by nature, you would expect
Okay.
it would.
Anyway,
You
continue.
have a low pH. So we had some discussions, and we brought in the, what was this ANUA's North American Environmental Director on a conference call. Okay. He suggested two things. One, that maybe the wells, people's wells, were the culprit, and two, that maybe the people themselves were the culprit. They might have a meth lab in their house, or they might be doing something else that would create these kind of problems. So in order to figure that out, we checked people's tap water, okay? And we went to the same homes that were under this 6.0, and all their tap waters were between 6.7 and 7.72. So it clearly wasn't the well water that was going. So the next thing we did, we went to the 6 homes that had bad readings, and we tested their pump tanks. And the way the system works is you get your septic tank, then you get your pump tank, and the pump tank pumps the effluent to the peat modules, and then from the peat modules, it goes through the UV light and into the creek. So we checked the pump tanks of these things, and all the pump tanks were between 6.81 and 7.31. So clearly, it wasn't because the people in the home were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. So we had another conference call, and in this conference call, the folks at ANUA, it used to be Board Nimona, said that in 1998, when they were approved by the State Sewage Advisory Board, they were allowed to bring this technology in, and it didn't have to meet these NSF 40 federal requirements. Now, this was the first time we ever heard of that. It's the first time anybody in the state has ever heard of it. So fortunately, they were able to find the letter from 1998 in the state records, and the letter clearly said that ANUA was supposed to meet NSF 40 standards when they put the system in. The amazing and interesting thing to tie into this that's not in the report, because I don't want to name any names, when the Sewage Advisory Board went through this process, the person on the Sewage Advisory Board who was representing Ford Nimona and ANUA was none other than, can you guess who it might be? Bill Clark, okay, who has been sort of a thorn in what we've been doing since this whole thing. So he's back involved in all this mess. Yeah. So,
Just a question on this. I know you were going to get, I guess, the limestone versus the granite bottoms or whatever they were.
right, yes,
Did you do any sampling above the home sites in the tributaries
no.
to see what the pH was in the
No.
normal water in the tributaries?
No.
Some of these
We've never
people's
done
water, you know, some of these people, I don't know, you know, real water shouldn't have tributary in it. Some of the wells serve, you know, some of the wells and things probably wouldn't have tributary, you know, get into it, and I don't know what the pH. If you had the pH of the, you know, the tributary above the site you're looking at, and then also if you could, you know, below the site.
Below the site,
because
to see
that
if
would
it's
tell you
any-
if it was impacting the tributary at all, you know, so. But
Never
anyway,
thought of that,
I
yeah.
was-
Well, so as all this stuff keeps coming out, one of the things ANUA suggested was in order to get your pH to a good level, you could,
Drain.
well, not Drano,
Awesome.
clamshells, that you would take these little baskets and you'd attach a little basket at the end of your discharge pipe full of clamshells, and when the fluid came out, it would run over the clamshells, would raise the pH, and it'd be okay. Yeah, well, okay. Every time we have another flood, it's gonna rip those things off, and of course, who's gonna pay for the clamshell baskets and all this kind of stuff? ANUA is saying they're not. The last thing about this mess with ANUA is that they do make a peat module that has limestone at the bottom of it that takes care of this pH issue, but they've never sent any of them to West Virginia. None of the installations in West Virginia are this kind. So it's not just our project, it's everybody in West Virginia who has one of these. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. And I don't know how it's going to impact the fact that we're supposed to meet this pH requirement in order for people to get their NPDES permit removed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that's something that probably the maintenance organization would be, as far as, you know, trying to, you know, it's going to have to me, seem to work through them somewhat, you know what I mean?
Maybe, unless the state, I don't know if the DEP is gonna step up. They're really, it's in the DEP's hands, although the DHHR is showing the leadership at this point. Whether the DEP is gonna say to ANUA, listen, you guys had this thing, you were supposed to do it this way, you didn't. You have to come back and fix all
They
this.
evidently knew it was a problem, they wouldn't dump the limestone in other
Is
than
it
the other
different,
thing
is
that
it
they
different in the price or some difference in the big in the price? And
That's
was
my
there
guess.
like that they didn't disclose?
They didn't disclose it to us.
You just have to
So-
keep on top of it, otherwise it won't.
Well, yeah.
But I
It's a
do
story
think-
of our
I do think
project.
it would be
It's like,
interesting.
oh,
I do think it'd be
I'm not
interesting to get
against
those.
I think that's a good idea,
Just to
because-
see what you feel.
Well, because it might be that the DEP would say, okay, yeah, you know, you're showing us that it's not making any difference in the creek, so we'll go ahead and give
Yeah,
everybody
that's
their
what-
permits. I mean, that's what we want to have happen.
Right.
We want these permits given out. Rick Hirchis, who is the DHHR guy, the DHHR head, the thing he's doing at this point is he has contacted all the surrounding states to ask them, do you guys know about this? You know, what's your policy? How are you going to handle it? So it may be that this becomes a, you know, a bigger thing than just,
Yeah, we kind of will see what falls out of it.
Right. and I'm not sure how long it's going to take to fall out. I will keep it updated.
It's duly noted, were not aware of the problem till now, so I mean, till we found out right now, yeah.
Until-
Well, this is the first I've heard of it, I mean, I think any of us have heard of it.
Because we never sampled for TH. And we always assumed that these systems, because the state regulations were that it had to be NSF certified, that these were, but they weren't. Another fine mess.
Good job, Rick.
What if ferret these things
Very
out?
thorough.
Well, we're trying.
All right, let's go to discussion, concern, possible action. Stevie, you wanna go with these? Go ahead and discuss these.
Well, the letter from the Lincoln County Solid Waste Authority, I think we have it in here, don't we? Okay. So that, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I think you know about it, but I'm not sure if Doc does, to reimburse Joey Birch's salary for when he's doing the litter pickup. She can do that for when he's actually out picking up, doing the litter pickups and dump cleanup things, so that's good.
Yes.
That'll help us out with trying to keep him full-time.
So that will make them back to full-time.
It could, yes, yeah. Yeah, hopefully we can.
Yeah, good job.
All right.
Next is government.
Government Day. I wanted that put on there because the last meeting we talked about it, I think everybody was in agreement that we needed to start it back, but we didn't make it real clear when we were going to. So I think we need to talk about that and decide when we want to start it back.
Well, I'd say that just ask the sheriff and the assessor.
I mean, the sheriff's ready to go next week.
Yeah, I think we're okay at Hearts right now, I think we all have all the infrastructure we need there and things like that, so I think we just go ahead and open that, and then as they can get in there, they can get in there, whatever office wants to.
Well, I know there was some concern about staffing, but I think they still should be all right
Yeah,
this physical year.
fully
so.
funded throughout the remainder of the
think
year.
that'll be
We
good.
can look at the funding for the next fiscal year in June, if you would
Okay.
like.
Robbie was supposed to go over to Midway, or to Allen Creek there and look at the library. I'm not sure if he has done that or not, because he's at a training this week. So do you have any idea, please?
I think he was gonna stop by one evening and he was under the impression that he could, whatever the wiring, he could do quick and then maybe their own dedicated phone line, just the one line, which would just be the phone company hooking.
And I think the sheriff said that there's someone on leave or something other, or.
And yeah.
And as before he could get over there, she's gonna come back and that would allow him to go ahead and do that over there as far as personnel.
Yeah, she's maternity leave, he's about 4 weeks,
It's-
so yeah, she's got a little bit of time left.
So he can go to Hearts, but he
Yeah.
can't go over there.
Yeah, that's what he's telling me, and I don't, he explained the reasoning to me, but I don't understand it. I knew it was gonna be a little while longer anyway before that would be operational, so I don't want to say I didn't pay attention to it, because I did pay attention to it, but I just don't remember the exact reasoning, other than he did have that girl. And the one girl lives at Hearts, I think, doesn't she, or lives up that way, and so it wasn't a big burden to her, I don't think, to do that as far as her living up there and things. But I don't know his exact reason for that, but I do know he said that it would probably be a little bit longer before he could get into it. And I said, well, we don't have that site right now up Norland anyway, but there's nothing in the Hearts site that would prevent us from just going ahead and open it up, and then whenever the office holders want to get up there, they can.
Well, let's plan so everybody knows that we'll start Hearts back Wednesday. Okay?
And did you
And
just,
then,
sorry,
then we'll need to find out
just
from
proceed,
Robbie.
yeah, okay, and go ahead and get that one ready to go as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any objection on the commission's part, at least not
No,
from me,
it's-
that even if it comes available between now and our next meeting or whatever, we don't meet before too long anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want them to wait till a meeting to have to go over there.
Right.
Once it gets operational and things, I think they could go as far as I
Well,
can, go ahead and stick it in.
I would think that, they have the funding then, and they do have the funding, then they could just resume operation.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, I think.
I mean, I don't think,
And then,
it's on them, they're the ones that are doing it.
well, the sheriff had talked to me last week about concerns about, security there. He had 2 auxiliary deputies that retired, Dallas and.
Yeah, and I talked to him about that, he also brought that up to me, and,
He said he was gonna do it with the deputy. I thought
yeah,
he
that's,
did,
that's
so.
exactly what
I
he
think that
told me.
would
He
be
said-
good, but we may wanna look at or encourage him to try to get some more auxiliary deputies.
Well, I think that's important, not just for Government Day. too,
Right.
You know what I mean? If
But
he
just
can-
like today, you know, Tony had to be somewhere else at the back door was an issue.
But it's my understanding, like, the President was saying there, that he was gonna use a certified police officer for security at the Government Day site, so.
I think the assessor, she's still have that person, the half-day person there, so everything's good until the end of June. And then we can work in June to try to see if we can keep it going for the rest of next year. We have time.
Okay. The next thing is parks, and I'm gonna make this one quick. There has been some confusion that they have asked me about at the meetings, and I honestly did not know. So I told Evelyn that I would bring it up to you all, and I've been doing some checking on it, and I think I may understand it, I may not. So this is what I think has happened, and I've got it printed off here. This was, well, you can see, this is what we budgeted, like, the commission budgeted for 11-12. That's what they get a month, and, I mean, it's self-explanatory, but the collected is the franchise fee. And that is what we paid out. I think what the confusion has been on this is they were getting their franchise money, which is the $2,500 a month, plus an additional 35 contribution.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay. So,
100%.
I did figure.
Yeah.
So what they're concerned about is they did not get all of their franchise fee that they felt like they should get. Because we didn't budget,
The contribution.
this year coming up, 15-16, we didn't budget a contribution. So we're not giving them the $35,000. So, but we've asked them to take on some activities and pay for it, the turkey shoot, the fishing tournament, bluegrass fest. So I feel like it's important that we make sure they get their money through the franchise.
Now, the money in the franchise is just up to a particular amount.
It's up to $50,000.
Yeah, right, and then anything over that stays in these coffers. You understand-
Correct.
you understand?
Yes.
So, and I see their point, and according to the way I understand the way it's set up, is they're supposed to get that up to that
Well,
amount,
see, well, you can see they said they had not been, and I guess they hadn't been. They were getting their $2,500 a month, which comes out of the franchise fee. But, at the end of June, we're gonna owe them the difference, up to 50.
Did we go back and confirm these numbers?
To do that.
Yeah, I'd like to confirm it, because I think that was something that we addressed. I mean, this is, I think we addressed it maybe one of the years. I'm not sure about the 13, 14 year and things like that, but just as long as we confirm, because it's basically an obligation that we already have to, based upon the franchise fee itself and what's directed to do.
It does get a little confusing.
Yeah,
Whenever you
it-
start
it
giving
does.
contributions.
But,
and
I explained to them, they're not going to get the contribution, so they understand that. So all they're gonna get is the franchise. When I was explaining that to them, they said, well, we haven't even been getting all of our
But
stuff.
still,
Well-
we get a chunk of change.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we do that, because that would allow them, but to do these other things
Right.
we talked about, because basically they've been operating without that difference in monies these years. And I think they probably are in pretty good financial shape anyway. mean,
Well, I
feel
had
it's-
the budget, I had their, financial statement, I did not bring it, but I can bring that to you.
But-
The thing about it is, it looks like they have a lot of money, but some of the money is put into, it's like a money market, they don't call it that, but they can only use the interest. So it's not like they have that on hand.
Right, and I understand that, but I think that somewhere along the line, the thinking ought to be, we need the monies for projects, not to draw
Right.
interest. You know what I mean? I think that's,
Well-
because we want to make sure that we're having a positive impact in the communities with what we're doing with that. And I think that's the very reason I thought, and I think you all agree that these particular things we're talking about, them handling instead of us, should have been they should have handled them a long time ago.
Well, because they are parks and recreation activity, you know, you would think it would fell under.
Exactly, exactly. Well, and I think that's a more appropriate place, but I do see their point. I do think that as long as these numbers are valid, then I think they should get up to what, and, you know, we're looking at monies that we've already collected. You know what I
Right.
mean, and things like that, so it's not about, and any amount in excess of the 50,000 amount we keep anyway, so, you know,
So we just need a
we just
motion
put-
to,
I mean, I don't think we can go back, I don't see how we can go back these years and make it, but I think we
No.
need to be sure that
for the-
it's coming up,
it's coming in.
like at the end of this June, that we give them
the differential.
the difference, and then we need to, you know, remember next year.
Yeah, I have no problem. I'll go ahead and motion that.
So,
Okay.
To go ahead and make sure that they receive their funding for this fiscal
You
year.
know, but they
Based
get,
on the collections of the franchise fee.
they get grants for particular projects, and
Exactly,
then they have to,
exactly.
they have CDs and things too, that they put it in. But they also maintain the community center at Garrett Spin and the park at Ranger, they pay the utilities and stuff there. So they have things they're obligated to outside. that they
I wouldn't
have to
think
have.
those numbers would be real big though.
They're not, I mean, they're really not compared to some of the other.
Have they went over, have you guys went over as far as your plans, as far as what you're gonna do? I mean, I know we're talking about the shooting thing, the fishing tournament and things like that. Is there any other projects that they've said? that
I
they've
missed the
got?
last meeting because I couldn't get there, so I'm not sure.
Well, it's just
what
something
they-
that, I mean,
yeah.
I'm not in a hurry to know, I'm just wondering what they're thinking about doing with their money.
I'm sure they would be
Because I think, you know, I'm just kind of thinking, if we come up short, Camp Lakeview, things like that, that, you know, we should have some communications going on with them,
Right.
with these different projects for the kids and stuff like this. There need to be some kind of a interaction so that if he's gonna come up short or another program's gonna come up short, that they may be able to help them with that program and things. So in my mind, that's really what they might wanna look at, and that way we make sure that, and it's just kinda like Parks and Recs, I think should be, you know, going into the summertime should be their busy time. I mean, you know, because they're gonna have to provide things for the kids when they're off school and things like that, and to me, coordinating things with Camp Lakeview and things like that would be something you might wanna think about looking at.
That's a good idea.
And that way you guys can work to try to make sure that because the key thing of it is to get as many kids interacting in these programs as we can. And it's not only healthier for them, but the things you're teaching are very important things, and I think that's even, you know, that we should put more emphasis on those type things, and maybe at Parks and Rec a little more invested in things like that. And I don't think we're talking about a lot of monies either, you know, but we're still talking about a lot more people and a lot more activities.
We got a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That being unanimous, motion carries. Good job. Next, we have unfinished business, and we have nothing for unfinished business. You all seen the new business? If you don't have any quarrels or qualms with the new business, we'll take a motion to approve the new business.
I'll make a motion to approve the new
I'll
business.
second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That being unanimous, motion carries. Next, we have open discussion. I don't have anything for open discussion.
I don't either.
All right, not, then, we will, move that we adjourn until June, I believe it's June the fourth, June 4th at 6
Okay,
o'clock.
we're gonna sign Mary. Right there.
All those in favor?
Aye.